Shall we try some stretching? Let's just start by extending the spine. So either holding the elbows with the hands behind or clasping the hands behind, straightening the arms. The spine is extending. It feels as though it's getting longer. The bottom of the spine is digging down through the sitting bones into the cushion, and the thymus and the head are extending upwards. Back to prayer. We try and keep the spine extended. Long and straight. And then rowing. So from extension, I go into flexion. I let the spine bend, reach forwards, look down, and then I go back to extension, pulling the elbows behind. What we want to try and get is, when we move from the extension here into the flexion, is to get it started by the tension coming into the belly. My belly tightens, and that pulls me into the flexion stage, the flexing. And then the same here. So now I tighten my lower back to start myself pulling into the extension. And then pull in the belly. I don't change over simply by relaxing the previous phase. I have to really get the new phase working to drag myself out of the previous one. So it's hard work. And now let's just do our normal stretching. So now one at a time, reaching forwards, pulling back. And now trying to feel the muscles that twist the spine. Feeling those muscles squeezing the spine. Now I effectively have one side of my body extending as the other side is flexing. And then up and down. Now, just up and down with both hands, like the rowing, but up and down and pulling the head right back. When you look down, try and push the chin into the chest. It may need you to open the mouth. And look them out. One hand turning over to face down, and then turning the head towards the hand that's facing up. Eventually, it's the shoulders turning as well as the head. So the spine's twisting again. Up and back to prayer. Holding the elbows and hands behind. Feeling that point on the spine that needs to push in so that the thymus naturally lifts upwards. And now rolling the head. And then changing direction. Right. No, just rubbing the hands. With the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Rubbing the neck. Using the belly and the back. So it's the rowing exercise, really. So all of these exercises, they're like portals into the internal. So they're designed to be done for a long time. So let's say we were going to do this for 10 minutes, you'd sort of get into almost like a trance. This is the idea. And then just leaning forwards. Stretching the lower back, but using the arms to protect it. So I'm bracing myself with the arms, and then I push with the arms to get back up. And then wrap your fingers around the knee and pull yourself down. It's like your spine doesn't really want to go, and you have to use the arms to coax it. Try and lead with the chin on the way down to keep the spine lengthening into the curve. Feel that point where you have to change from pulling with the arms to beginning to push to protect you on the descent. And now let's try with the twist as well. So bringing both hands onto the left knee and pulling yourself down over the knee. Pushing yourself up with the arms. And then swapping to the other knee. So the back, knowing that it's being protected by the arms, can just release a little bit more. A couple more. And then rubbing the hands again, and we'll just do a minute of palming. over the eyes. But open the eyelids and experience pure darkness. This is the idea here. It's the darkest you encounter unless you go into a cave. Hands up. Now close the eyes. Have the eyes closed. Hands up and slowly down onto the knees. And then blinking. 6 strong blinks. So really tighten the eyes closed and then open them wide and then closed. Wide. Using the muscles of the eye lids to squeeze the eyeball. It's like we're massaging the eyeball. Again, get it coming from the belly and the lower back. So as you squeeze the eyes closed, your belly's contracting. And as you open the eyes fiercely, your back is contracting. So it's extension and flexion again. And don't look at anything. So when you open the eyes fiercely, don't let them latch onto anything. And then just blinking really quickly. Okay, now let's just do a bit of the butterfly. squatting. When the hips and the groin open, then the attention naturally moves to the sacrum, which feels as though it's expanding. The sacrum, it tends to be part of the body that we're not really aware of, largely because we never really see it. But for our purposes in Tai Chi, we want it to become the part of the body that we're most aware of. Sacrum is 5 fused vertebrae that finished fusing in late adolescence. So we definitely have memory of it being separate bones. A sense of play. It's interesting that Heidegger, at the end of his life, some interviewer asked him, what one word sums up being, his main preoccupation, and he just said play. It tends to be what we lose when we become adults. Now, in English, when they say there's play in the system, it just means there's movement, there's potential movement within the system. It's not rigid. Most languages, when you make music on your instrument, the word is play. I play the instrument, I play the guitar. You don't do it. or make it, you play. Just sit. So instead of stretching one leg at a time, just sit and push yourself forwards to open the legs as wide as possible. And then just reach towards one foot. And slowly stretch. Use the free hand on the knee to stop the knee from bending. If anything, the knee feels as though it's bending backwards. Don't be afraid to bring tension into the quad to help the hamstring stretch. Into the other foot. Just inch forward a little more to spread the legs a little more. And again, just one more. And then just lying back and cycling. Into the sumo squat. So on the toes. Let's try this simple, very simple Qigong. The arms come up as I breathe in, and then they go down as I breathe out. And again, like everything else, it's the rowing. So this is the spine extending back. And then this is the belly tightening to bone me forwards a little. Effectively, this is double weighted. I'm doing the same thing with each side of my body. What I want to allow is just let it free up so it feels like it doesn't want to be double weighted. Each side wants to go at its own speed, its own pace. So they're never quite together. Sense of play again. The two sides are sort of playing with each other a little bit. And then just into like the heart qigong, but just keeping this first phase continuous, bringing the energy into the heart, down to the dantian, and then slipping down the legs and out again. Remember that thing that came out last week? Consciousness is of the mind, awareness is of the spirit. So we're conscious of what we're doing. It's like our awareness, it's like a readiness, like beware, be aware. You're ready for any danger. It's like the animal that's feeding, it's constantly looking up to make sure there's nothing coming to steal its food or kill it. So it's conscious of eating, but it's aware of its surroundings. And this is us, we're conscious of what we're doing, this exercise, bringing in the energy from the room. But part of us is actually out there ready for any danger. And now going down to the beach ball. So just get down gradually. Feel the release in the sacroiliacs and the hips. It's necessary to get down. If I want to sink, I need strong legs and I need an open hips, open groin, open sacroiliacs. The image of Superman or Batman, they wear their underpants on the outside. So this whole area is accentuated. So the sacrum is the dominant visual aspect. So the sacrum and the cape, the cloak within which they can shroud themselves. So the wings. Like that, the picture I sent on the email, the guy sitting down and he's bleeding into the ground. So here I'm bleeding into the ground. Not just down to the ground, but into it. Keep the eyes on the screen. Feel the spirit intensifying the closer we get to the ground. And now, riding horse. Sacrum Dantian. It's just the one region, really. The Dantian is deep in. It's the place where the descending aorta forks into the the femoral arteries. So it's a point of bifurcation. So it splits into two, and then with the veins, as the blood comes back up, it joins into one. And it's the same with the sacrum. So the sacrum distributes the weight of the upper body down the two legs. You know, the way we get into riding horse, but keep it continuous. It's effectively the two circles. And I'm really feeling this curve here as it comes through me and out of my back and around. I'm catching the wing that's coming out of my shoulder blade and bringing it around. And it's very much the little finger. So the arm twists as it goes through so that the little finger catches the wing and brings it around. My consciousness is very much to do with what I can see, what I can sense, but especially see. So it's all to do with this region, really, that's in front of me. But the awareness is reaching back into the darkness. My awareness is extending out of my back. So my wings are of my awareness, of my spirit. I'm just trying to bring that around. I don't want to look at it. So as the wing comes round, I'm sort of shying away from it because I know that if I look at it with my mind, with my consciousness, then it will disappear. Because these two realms, the reason they're different is because that's what they're meant to be. The spirit realm is very different from the physical, from the material realm. Same thing, but now the wings from the hip bones. But this is more like yielding. I'm coming down, I'm sort of coming through this point with my mind, and then I catch this wing that's coming out of my sacrum or my hip and bringing it around. So it's basically the same exercise, but on a lower level, but my visualization is quite different. As I come into this point and bring the energy out here, I'm coming into this leg, but really relaxing into the leg. So my hip feels as though it's swelling as I'm coming into the leg. And that's the release of the wing of the leg. The upper body is very much relaxing and sinking, sink and relax. This feeling of flowing down, but of course my lower body has to do the opposite, otherwise I would fall. So as I'm sinking and flowing down, my leg is getting tense and driving up through me. And this is what we want to really balance. So this is the equilibrium. We want to feel that quality of mind that keeps these opposing forces separate and stops them from simply cancelling each other out and producing this heavy stillness, this frozen stillness. And again, that's that sense of play. Keep the play going, to keep the game going, to keep the rally going in tennis, for example. Both players are trying to win the point, but it gets to the point where it's so exciting and so involving. The outcome doesn't really matter. So who wins the point? It's not that important. It's the fact that they're played. Remember when we were kids, all those decades ago, and you'd be in your car, in your dad's car, and going over a hill. You know, just as you go over the hill, it's like your insides are still going up, but your body's dropping down as the car goes the other side. So there's this feeling of real, it's almost like being suspended at that point where you change direction. That's the feeling of equilibrium, of keeping these things balanced. You dare not let one of them touch the other. They have to remain separate. Otherwise, they will just mingle and just produce a grey mess. So there's a feeling, you're sinking, but a part of you is trying to stay buoyant. Part of you is not going with the sinking, it's actually rising. So the gravity and the levity. So we have to make a real effort to actually produce the levity, unless conditions are right to cheer you up immensely. Can't always guarantee that. Feel the two legs. And that feeling of there being a separation between the down and the up, it's also the same feeling as there being a separation between the left side and the right side. So now just going from leg to leg. But feeling it, we're so used to pulling. There's something very sort of, greedy and aggressive about pulling. So now just feeling this really light bounce. I sink into the leg, my leg loads like a spring, and then it bounces me out. And then I drop down the other leg. What I want to feel is that point in the middle where you're not committed to neither leg, and then you fall into the other one. So that's the point of real, almost 100% levity. So there's a point in the middle where you're leaping, where there's a sense that both feet are off the ground as you pass through the middle. And then you fall into the other foot. I tend to be able to relax across the sacrum. So the two sides of my sacrum, left and right, mustn't feel like they're trying to hold on to each other. It must really dissociate. And then this side can start tensing, and this side can just completely let go. This is real continuity. There is no longer simply mind continuous. It's like the awareness has to be continuous as well. So it's my awareness really that's responsible for maintaining the equilibrium. Your awareness is like the guardian. It's looking after you. It's ready to leap in when you're in danger. And the point that's most dangerous is as we pass through the middle, because it's all uncommitted. And that's when we need most spirit. And that's what maintains the separation between the levity and the gravity. Okay, and then back to riding force. Feet, big toes angled in a little and pressing down. Little toes trying to escape out to the side. Sacrum feels like it's relaxing across. It feels like these two hip bones are trying to pull away from the sacrum. Always the negative touch, a touch that is in contact but is trying to pull apart. And what that requires is this feeling that my inner thighs are trying to pull away from each other. This is very much in yoga. And they talk about rooting the big toe and feeling in the inner thigh. And then that feeling of the sacrum beginning to melt. There's a drip, drip, drip from the end of the tail downwards. And then the flame, or the steam that's rising. I am melting, my solid is becoming liquid, but I'm also evaporating like dry ice. You know, carbon dioxide doesn't have the liquid phase, so the solid just becomes gaseous. And I'm just trying to just stay with it. Yeah, so why as soon as I get distracted or lose my concentration, does it all seize up? And that's just fear. This fearful need to stay in the realm of the consciousness and this refusal to admit the awareness. So the spirit is always expanding. This is the feeling. That's what we want to be with when we're meditating or doing Tai Chi. Remember that time, the story John used to tell when he was working with Dr. Chi once. And he said Dr. Chi was just so relaxed and so liquid. He said it always used to feel that Dr. Chi had yielded to him before he got out of bed in the morning. And he was sort of despairing of ever really learning how to be truly relaxed. So he said to Dr. Chi, how do I learn? How do I learn to relax? And Dr. Chi just thought for a moment and then just said, somehow. That's all the teacher can say, really. The teacher gives you something which you then have to practice. And if you apply yourself with dedication and sincerity, then that practice will yield results, but it will take years. Okay. And now just sinking into the leg, exactly the same as we've just been doing. I sink down. I'm spreading. Like if I was to tip a glass of water on the ground, it would flow down as almost like a column. Then as it hit the ground, it would just spread out. So this is the feeling here. I'm sinking down and it's just spreading out. But it's enough for me just to become single-weighted and bring my foot up. So what I'm trying to do now is just become single-weighted enough to lift the other leg, but keeping this whole region completely relaxed. The leg is tense, but the leg stops at the hip bone, hip joint here for our purposes. The hip itself is part of the upper body now. It's expanding. So I sink down and it all expands. And then I can bring this foot up. And just feel that quality of mind that's required to keep it relaxing. It's a real attention. It's a real awareness. I have to be totally aware of the situation. Because the awareness is now no longer simply seeing what's there. It's actually maintaining the expansion. It's maintaining the equilibrium. So something in me expands and I courageously just keep that going. But we don't realize it, but normally when we pick a foot off the ground, this whole region sort of tightens to give me a better support. And that's what we're trying to release. So I'm sinking all the time. I'm sinking and I sink to bring the foot up. I relax and expand. And again, it's this, as I come into the foot, it's this feeling of making this circle. So it's going around the outside edge of the foot, but I'm also doing something with my hand. A bit like brush knee, when we come into the leg, front leg on some of the postures, we brush the knee and the hand circles around. It's the same here. I'm sort of helping the knee out. And then my hand just extends around the circle. And then I sort of close the circle enough to bring the other foot off the ground, but I'm still expanding. Or I become really big here and open. That's it. So we just want to, that's it. We will just get the foot up. Onto the other, either the calf or the knee, if you can get it as high as the knee. This feeling that the toes, the foot is wrapping around. So my foot becomes concave, the same way my hand would become concave if I was clasping my knee. So here the foot has done this. And that's really important. Because the distractible mind, the mind that's always looking for entertainment. It's that wonderful quote of Trumpa. He said, discipline is all about letting go of the need for entertainment. So we're always looking for something to engage ourselves. And this thing of bringing the big toe down or wrapping the toes around is very much enclosing that so that your awareness can actually reach out instead of your consciousness. So my foot is trying to wrap around my leg. And that's very much of the mind. My mind is enclosing, and then these wings can come out of my back and fill the room. And this happens throughout the form. Every time you move into a leg in the form, you're effectively doing this. I mean, it may take slightly different shapes. Now let's just try a little bit of the form, just, ward off left really from the beginning. So that first step is just what we've just been doing. So I sink into this foot and circle around. So down, relaxing, enough to bring this foot up, and then this foot steps. And then again, I leap across. And instead of stepping up with the foot, we just circle around it and now dip down. Like you're pulling a bale up from the ground, and then the elbows come in and drop down. Okay, and now you go around this foot, and that sends the other hand out. And then I come around this foot, step, and then I come around this foot, and then this foot, and ward off left. The other side. So, round the foot, round. This foot comes up. I step, and then round, and dip down, like you're lifting a cloth off the ground, pulling up slowly. And then the elbows drop down, that pulls the hands in, and I sink down. And then around this hip, and then around this hip, this hand comes on top, so I'm now holding the ball. And then I step, and now around this hip here, so round, brush knee, up into ward off, and then around this hip, so brush knee, and the hand down. And the other side again. So round the foot. Up, and then leaping across. I sort of bounce out of this leg, but instantly I'm catching with this foot to make sure that I land in this leg. And so you can't really go too slowly. You certainly can't sort of stop and start. And then around here. And around here. Around this one. And this one. And now let's just continue it. So ward off right. 1, 2, and again, so round the front hip, round the back hip, round the front hip, pushing the left hand, round the left hip, pushing with the right hand, around the left hip, pushing with the, and single whip. And this, the hook going out is really just coming around this hip. It's like I'm catching the wing from my sacroiliac and extending it out. That's what the hook is doing. And now around my left hip and forwards. And now let's try the other side. Lifting the foot. So my foot is with my levity. Stepping. And I jump across. And round the hip. Round the hip. Round the hip. And then back on the back hip. And now again, round this hip, way, round the front hip, and then sort of back and here. And you can just let this left hand just drop down here, and then that can brush the knee. And 1, and front hip, and then a little sort of wriggle with the back hip to get into the press. And then reaching around the right hip here for the push, around the left hip for the push with the right hand, and then pulling back around my right hip, around my left hip, which becomes the hook, step around the right hip, and settling into the front foot. Okay. Let's just bring it to riding horse. And just feel the posture. The posture tends to sort of tip forwards. That just indicates that the levity is not quite strong enough to balance the gravity. So how do we generate more levity? By sinking. Yeah? So what I don't want to do is sink like this, because you can see that when I do that, it's my head that's sinking. This here is actually coming up. So it's my sacrum that I need to get sinking. And then that will generate the lift and the rising in the hold. And so if we're too much with the consciousness, then it just leads to depression, basically. There's a part of us, a large part of us, probably the vast part of us, needs to be with the awareness, with the spirit, something you can never feel or locate. You can't say, oh, there's the spirit. It's just there, it's just with you all the time. If you just wake up. So we live in a material world, and spirit is just of the opposite realm. Its spirit is of the spiritual. This is sinking, this is rising. And then just bringing it up. Feel the toes spreading. Big toes in, little toes out. And sort of doing this. Like a kitten that's making puddings around the teat. They're expressions of pleasure. And so the cat will purr, sort of close its eyes a little. And if it's really into it, it will do this. And the dog wags its tail. It's a real flexibility and fluidity in the vestigial parts, the little toes, little fingers, tail, the horns, the wings, the cranial plates. Everything has to become mobile.